We're moving on to Module 7, Quiz 2. This quiz is a little bit tougher than the last one. Students don't usually do quite as well on this one as the last one. So let's go ahead and begin. Here's a table showing the changing depths of a submarine as it descends, that means goes down, towards the ocean floor. Circle the equation that best describes the depth. And I will tell you, so many students think, oh, it's multiple choice. We don't need to show any work. And so they just guess one. Well, then it makes the rest of the page wrong because they didn't find the equation. So even when you take multiple choice tests, which part of our final, the paper pencil one, was multiple choice, you still want to do all the work and then pick the one that looks like yours. So I can see here D's on the outside, so that's what they're using for the Y variable, and I can see here that X is T. So I'm going to ignore these and pretend I don't see them, and I'm going to write my own equation. Remember, for an equation, I need a rate of change, and which is slope, and I need a y-intercept. Well, right here I go, whoa, there's the y-intercept. How do I know it's the y-intercept? Because it's when x is 0, that must be the y-intercept. So we'll just call this x and y here just to remind you. So when x is 0, that points the y-intercept. So we know that much so far. And the other thing we need to write our own equation of the line is a slope. So slope's pretty easy to find. Just pick 2 points. So might as well pick these. They're close together. I always like to pick one with a 0 in it just because it's easy to work with 0. Kind of hard to make mistakes. So 0, -80, and 1, -83. So now we can find the slope. Once we find the slope, then we can write our equation and then pick which one of these is what we want. So second y, -83, minus the first y, which is -80, over second x, 1, minus the first x, 0. So we have that double negative there, so we need to change that to positive. And that looks like -3 over 1, which is really just -3, right? So we can verify that with the table. We can say, well, if the slope's -3, that means all these should be going down by 3. Down by 3, down by 3, down by 3, down by 3, and they are. -74 minus 3 is -77. -77 minus 3 is -80. -80 minus 3, -83. So that verifies. So now we need to go into y equals mx plus b. I'm trying to get everything in the screen at the same time. It's going to be a little bit tough. And we need to plug in our new letters and the numbers we found. So in place of y, we're going to put d. In place of m, we found our m over here to be -3. In place of x, they're using t. And b, we found right here, is -80. So see how I've just taken very, very little work, but I found my own equation. Now I can go here and see which one of these match it. It's so much better than just guessing. I will tell you, so many people miss this, and like I said, then it makes them miss the rest of the page. So -3t, -80, that's a positive 3t. That one, the t's not with the 3. That one, the t's not with the 3. -80, -3t. So that's our equation right there. It's just not in the same order, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in the same order. They're still the same thing. So 80's negative, 3t's negative. So now that we got that right, that almost guarantees that we'll get the other two pieces right. So that's the most important step of the problem, is writing your equation. And usually you don't have the multiple choice, you have to write it yourself. But even so, it's the most important part. Okay, so now let's scooch up. Let's write our equation here. D equals, I like mine better, just the order, negative 3t minus 80. That way we can cover up that part of it and move our paper up so I'm not off the screen. Okay, so now they're asking us to state the horizontal and vertical intercept. I put this on the Module 6 test, and I put this again on the Module 7 test because this is a huge competency in our class, is being able to find where the graph crosses the y-axis. And that's what vertical is. Vertical is y, so this is asking for the y-intercept. Horizontal is the x-axis, so this is asking for the x-intercept. And in this class, they refer to them a lot as vertical intercept and horizontal, but after this class, it's almost all x and y intercept, so you should know it by both names. So in Module 6, we had a big lesson on x and y intercepts. So we said, okay, the minute you see x-intercept, that means make y 0. But then we have to look up here and go, oh, we're not using y, so what letter am I going to make 0? Oh, y is D in this problem. So this is another way of saying make D 0. And we know for the horizontal intercept, y is 0, so we can already go down here and fill in that 0. So now we're going to go up to our equation, and wherever we see D, we're going to put 0. So I see a D right there, so I'm going to write 0 equals negative 3t minus 80. We need our x's on the left, so I'm going to add 3t to both sides, add 3t to both sides, and we get 3t equals negative 80. Divide by 3, divide by 3, t equals, and since we're going to have to explain the meaning in a complete sentence, usually when we're doing word problems, we change it to mixed numbers. So our calculator will do that for us. So we can just type in negative 80 fraction bar 3, and it will turn it into a mixed number for us. So negative 26 2/3. One thing students do wrong on this is they do negative 80 divided by 3, and then they round the number off. Don't do that. This is not money. You're never allowed to round if you're not asked. So since I saw nothing that talked about rounding, that's why I went negative 80 fraction bar 3. Then it gives me an exact answer, not a rounded answer. So if it doesn't say round, then you use the fraction bar key. So t is negative 26 2/3. So negative 26 2/3. Okay, then after you find it, it says explain the meaning. Well, remember what I said. Anytime you're asked to explain a point, the first thing you do is look up at your table and write what each thing says. So t is time in seconds, and y is depth in feet. So this is seconds, and this is feet. And usually once we get the labels there, then it's easy. So one thing you do have to do is familiarize yourself with the verbiage in this table. So 0 is considered now, because this is a submarine. So we could say right now the submarine is 80 feet deep, because negative 80 means it's down 80 feet. When they're negative numbers for the x's, they're telling us to use verbiage seconds ago. And when they're positive numbers, it's seconds from now. So 0 is now, positives are in the future, negatives are in the past. So when we go to write this, remember how we said you can never use a negative when you write it, and probably these are the two hardest parts for students on this quiz. So don't say negative 26 and 2/3 seconds ago. You just say 26 and 2/3 using the verbiage seconds ago. Sorry about that. The wind just shut my door. I hope that wasn't too loud for your ears. Okay, so 26 and 2/3 seconds ago, comma, and we're talking about the depth of a submarine, remember? So if the submarine's 0 feet deep, where is it at? On the surface, right? So 26 and 2/3 seconds ago, the submarine was on the surface. Submarine was on the ocean's surface. And like I said, a lot of students have trouble with the algebra for finding these and for writing the sentences for these parts. But you just have to look at the table and look at the verbiage. It tells you negatives, you say seconds ago. So 26 and 2/3 seconds ago, I don't say negative 26. And the whole problem's talking about the depth of the submarine. So if the submarine's 0 feet deep, that means it's on the ocean surface. So don't write 0 feet deep. You would never say that. Oh my gosh, the water's 0 feet deep. No, you wouldn't say that. So when the sub is 0 feet deep, that means it's sitting on the surface of the water waiting to descend. Okay, let's do the second part. So then they ask us to find the vertical intercept. Remember, vertical is the y-intercept. So I immediately go, oh, y-intercept, that means make x 0. So I go down here, I make x 0, and x in this problem is really t. So that means make t 0. So take your equation and make t 0. And you guys probably realize already the y-intercept's negative 80, because isn't that it there? I'm just showing you the algebra for it, but you could have went straight to the answer and went 0, negative 80 right here. But I'm just showing you the work. So d equals negative 3 times 0 minus 80. Well, 0 minus 80 is negative 80. So the vertical intercept, remember how we said intercepts are always written as points. So that's why I set up the point before I even do the problem. D is the y, so in the y's place you put negative 80. So this is seconds, as we said above, and this was feet. So if you look at the table again for the verbiage, 0, when you're writing about it, is right now. So on this one, you wouldn't say 0 seconds ago. You would say right now, or at the present time, the submarine is where? 80 feet. What word can we use for the negative? Below the ocean surface. Right now, the submarine is, how about 80 feet deep? We could say that. Or 80 feet below the ocean surface. Any of those. I just picked the one that was easiest to write. And we wouldn't say negative because that's the deep part. That means we're down under. Okay, we'll start this next one. We won't be able to finish it, but we'll get at least a start on it. So this one says solve, and the minute I see two equations in my head, I go, oh, I have to decide, is this going to be the addition method or is this going to be the substitution method? And sometimes they'll tell you which method to use. Sometimes you have to decide. So substitution method is used when one or both equations are solved for y. Notice how that is not the case. So this is telling me to use the addition